But what really matters about research and development? What is the key? It is the ability to turn research results into marketable products. In Switzerland, you find sophisticated system of vocational training, and this is very important to know. Upon completing obligatory schooling, around 2/3 of young people undertake a vocational training in Switzerland. And they have a lot of practical know-how. And you know, in Switzerland, about over 95% of all the companies are small and medium-sized enterprises, and around 5% is big enterprises. And the small and medium-sized enterprises, they hire people also that did vocational training in various things, in machinery, mechanics, in ICT. And this environment of small companies, of big companies, of good institutions, this is the floor for good innovation and for new innovation and for marketable products. And then, if you have found a product, and this is important in these days to have innovation and research close together with manufacturing, because often the sophisticated high-tech products, they need amendments quite quickly, so the manufacturing should not be far. Did you know that the Swiss industrial production per capita beats Germany, the United States, and China? Switzerland has high outputs, especially in the high-tech machinery, as well as pharma, medtech, and biotech sector. Here you see the balance of trade in goods in 2014. So in these sectors, we have very high outputs. But what does matter for manufacturing companies these days to invest in high-tech manufacturing sites? Just recently, one of the top leading biotech companies with about 7,000 employees has decided of putting a pharmacy manufacturing site of 25 hectares space for around 700 to 1,400 employees into Solothurn, Switzerland. Why did they decide to choose Switzerland? There were different reasons. On the one hand, they again claimed the access to talents because they need sophisticated, highly skilled people on place, and quite a lot at the first day of production. This was very important. Secondly, the stable infrastructure. If you have a lack of electricity, if the electricity suddenly stops, this would cost millions because they have batches where they rely for months on one batch, and if the batch they can be harvested, that's good, and if there is an electricity gap, that's a catastrophe for them. So they need reliable infrastructure. Then also, of course, an attractive taxation and liberal economic framework. This is, of course, the base and also a very important element. But besides, what mattered for them to decide for Switzerland during the process is it was also speed. Speed to be able to offer them a piece of land which they can build within 1 year. From the first contact to start building, this took them 1 year. And I explain you why. In Switzerland, we have 26 cantons, and they have, along the national law, almost full authority over their land. So the decisions can be made quite quickly, and things can be done in a short time notice. But maybe you want to expand, to improve your business in regard of optimizing your processes. No manufacturing. Besides general stability and great infrastructure, it is also important for investors to have good conditions in regard of human resources, finance, tax, real estate, and I would like to give some insight on this. If you look at human resources, general wages seem at first in Switzerland quite high, but you have to look clearly on it. Or a bit, you have to look into details regarding the wages. Because if you compare wages in Switzerland with other European countries, and you look at, this is an employee that, for example, earns 75,000 euro, if you put on the top the social securities and all the other fees that you have to pay for the employee, in the end, Switzerland is very competitive with the neighboring countries, UK, or like not Germany, and UK, not neighboring, but also European countries. So it is important to look at that as a whole. Switzerland has a very liberal labor law. If a company needs to let go an employee, a company can do that within 3 months' notice. So no problem to resize the company or to leave even Switzerland. And this is also very important because if you want to start entering the European market in Switzerland, it's a very good place because you can open a company, but in worst case, which we don't hope, but in worst case you can also close it. You have no exit tax and you can let go people. This is very difficult in other European countries, as you might be aware. And there is no strikes. That's another positive thing. And maybe one little thing I would like to point out is also that in 2007, the Swiss people had the opportunity to vote for 6 weeks of holidays. You know, in Switzerland, we vote for almost everything. If the garbage should be taken away on Monday or on Tuesday, we vote for everything. We also could vote for if we want to have 6 weeks of holidays. But guess what? What did they vote? They said, no, 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 no. We don't want that. So they voted against. And the whole world was a bit like, how come? But Swiss people are quite diligent and, of course, like others as well, but they are, they feel responsible in a way, and I think the fear that they could risk the job because of 6 weeks of holiday was higher than the desire of 6 weeks of holiday. Tax. This, of course, is very important, and it is, I just want to say very short on that. I think Switzerland is moderate in all terms regarding taxes. No matter if you look at VAT or individual tax or at corporate taxation, it is always moderate. For the individual tax, you are about between 20 to 30%. With corporate tax, it depends a bit. On average, you have 17%, but it depends on which canton you go. This is also for individual tax. It would depend on which canton you would like to go. But everywhere it is average. And why is that the taxes are so low? Of course, there is different reasons, but one thing is in Switzerland it's very transparent. You have the tax, but there is no fiscal incentives that you get through the back door because you do a production in this or that, or you do research in this and that. It is just for everyone low tax. And it's in other countries in Europe, it might be very high tax, but you get some fiscal incentives if you do this or that sector production or research. Here, another tax overview, like this is the lowest Qatar and the USA highest. We are moderate somewhere at the lower end. Oh. Now it's, sorry, it's not going further. Okay, maybe you would like to also have a look at procurement and supply chain. We are not alone in facing the forces of globalization. To be successful at supply chain as a supply chain executive, you need a long-term strategy that manages complexity, risks, and the costs of global logistics. You must implement an effective and efficient global supply chain that delivers and enhances customer experience without losing your focus on profitability, flexibility, and sustainability. So, and in Switzerland, for the supply chain management, it is also generally it's also important that you have a good infrastructure and good IT infrastructure. And this graph shows you that this is the development of IT infrastructure for the future. And we have, out of Europe, it is actually only Switzerland that stands out of IT infrastructure, new fiber networks, new whatever measurement needs to be taken place for a good IT infrastructure in order to manage high data flows. So this is a stable place to have your supply chain management also done. Most international supply chain management operations in Switzerland integrate also tax planning into their plan. To give you an example, as a group company of British Unilever, one of the world's largest consumer good companies, Unilever Supply Chain Company, operates a standalone entity in Schaffhausen, Switzerland, and the Swiss-based company employs about 1,400 people and is responsible for the wider group's entire sourcing and production and logistics process in Europe and the Americas. Also for 3M, Switzerland is the ideal supply chain location. They claim that the stable and up-to-date IT infrastructure and secure servers ensure modern supply chain management. So also from this angle, Switzerland can be of use. Having said that, if you think now of growing into the European markets, if you think of optimizing your processes, or wanting to be in a place where research has a very high standard, then I would be very glad to support you as a member of Switzerland Global Enterprise. We are a state-mandated organization that supports Swiss companies to go abroad, but also foreign companies to come to Switzerland. And we collaborate and coordinate very closely together with the 26 cantons and the different regions in Switzerland. And I truly hope that we meet during the forum today, or maybe a bit later, and please give me a call or contact me in any case if you think about Switzerland. I thank you very much for your attention.